We continue to follow the breaking news of the day. President Trump pleads not guilty to 4 federal charges. What he said minutes after leaving the courthouse in Washington, D.C. Next. And first on Fox, controversy surrounding the mayor's pick for fire chief. The legal trouble from his past coming to light. A judge is ruling to throw out a murder case after the prosecution requests a sick day, drawing more criticism. What one former judge is saying about the controversial decision.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Tonight, we continue to follow that breaking news. Former President Trump has pleaded not guilty to 4 felony charges, accusing him of trying to overturn the 2020 election. Kai is here with the very latest. Kai?
Well, Mary, a lot of eyes were on the president. The process fairly simple today. It marks the 3rd time in 4 months the former president has been placed under arrest and charged. Now, just to recap for you, the charges center on Trump's actions between the 2020 election and the Capitol insurrection that following January. He faces 4 counts, including conspiracy to defraud the United States, witness tampering, conspiracy against the rights of citizens, and obstruction of an official proceeding. Judge Tanya Chutkan has been randomly assigned to this case. She was appointed back in 2014 by then President Barack Obama and has presided over the trials of numerous defendants in the January 6 related cases. Now, before his court appearance today, the former president sounded off, writing on his Truth Social page, quote, "I am now going to Washington, D.C. to be arrested for having challenged a corrupt, rigged, and stolen election." Minutes after leaving the courthouse, Trump also spoke with reporters before boarding his plane.
When you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him. We can't let this happen in America. Thank you very much, everyone.
Trump's next hearing is scheduled for August 28th at 10 a.m. The former president can waive his appearance at this hearing. Mary?
I thank you. Coming up in a few minutes, national correspondent Scott Thuman will join us again live from Washington, D.C. with a look at the potential legal strategy Trump's team could use for this trial. Well, the mayor's pick to lead the Baltimore City Fire Department is in question tonight after details about his past have come to light. Fox 45 News has learned James Wallace faced charges decades ago in an incident involving explosives. First on Fox, Alexa Ashwell spoke with a former deputy state fire marshal who says he responded to this call back in 1992.
The mayor is standing by James Wallace as his nomination for the city's next fire chief. Meanwhile, we're hearing from a former member of the state fire marshal's office who says he responded to this call with his bomb-sniffing dog. Under the lens, the mayor's nomination for the Baltimore Fire Department's next chief, James Wallace.
We shouldn't even be talking about this because they're expunged records.
Shortly after Wallace's nomination, his criminal past made headlines. Back in 1992, he was charged with having possession of pipe bombs and possession of explosives without a license. Records show Wallace was a paramedic at the time and temporarily suspended from the city. The charges now wiped from his record, but many questions remain. Now we're hearing from a former deputy state fire marshal, John Brazil, who said he responded to that call more than 30 years ago.
I was called to the scene as a canine officer. I had an explosive canine dog to assist in the search for any explosive items.
Brazil sharing these old pictures with his bomb-sniffing dog. He says officials were originally called to an apartment complex in Bel Air after reports of someone setting off fireworks. And that's when he came into contact with Wallace and another young man.
And assisted in searching 2 apartments and located what was called M80 fireworks, which are basically a large firecracker. They are dangerous and unsafe and illegal then and now. They were only about no more than 2.5 inches long. They were a red cardboard tube with cannon fuse sticking out of them.
So why then was Wallace charged with possession of pipe bombs? Brazil explained.
The law under fireworks were just up to a certain amount of powder. And basically any larger fireworks came under the pipe bomb law. These are, again, dangerous, but they were just over the edge as far as crossing the line between fireworks and what was considered pipe bombs or explosives.
Exactly how those charges played out in court, unclear. But Mayor Brandon Scott defending Wallace.
First, I will say that they weren't pipe bombs, they were fireworks.
And standing by his nomination.
This is something that does not disqualify him. These records are expunged from the record, and they're done that way for a reason. And we look forward to continuing to see his service and leadership.
Interim Chief Wallace still awaits City Council approval. We've reached out to some council members for a response. We're still waiting to hear back. Meanwhile, Wallace is also receiving support from the local fire union. The president releasing a statement we've put on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
The Baltimore Banner reporting former Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement Director Shante Jackson took jabs at Deputy Mayor Anthony Barksdale in a series of texts to former Police Commissioner Michael Harrison. The Banner obtained the text sent while Harrison was sitting before the City Council for the Police Department's budget hearing in June. They show Jackson wrote, quote, "Time to get rid of Barksdale," and other similar messages. Barksdale is the city's deputy mayor for public safety. We pressed Mayor Scott on those texts today.
Deputy Mayor Barksdale's record speaks for themselves as a deputy mayor, but also as a public official and a former leader of the Baltimore Police Department. That's it. Where our focus is how we have a 25% reduction in homicides in the city and an overall reduction of violent crime, and we're going to continue to do that.
Well, stay with us. Our Keith Daniels will have a full report on those texts coming up on Fox 45 News tonight at 10. And we want to hear from you. Do you think government infighting is putting public safety at risk? So far, 73% of voters say yes. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote to weigh in.
When you wake up, judges, remember who you serve. Not merely the statistics. You serve the citizens of Baltimore City, and they deserve the best you can give them. One day is not too much to ask.
Some strong words from a former Baltimore City judge tonight, speaking out on a story you first saw on Fox after charges were dropped against a man facing 2 life sentences and a first-degree murder charge. The reason for the dismissal, the state prosecutor was sick and requesting a 1-day delay, which was ultimately denied. Tonight, former Judge Wanda Keys Heard telling Fox 45 News the judge's decision was unreasonable. Fox 45's Maxine Stryker reports.
It was a shocking dismissal of a murder case Monday after Judge Melissa Finn denied a 1-day delay for a sick prosecutor. The result, accused murderer and repeat offender 22-year-old Draquan Smith's case was thrown out before his trial even began. According to the city state's attorney's office, the lead prosecutor, Paul Crawley, had contracted the flu and even obtained a doctor's note saying he could not be in court for jury selection, requesting a 1-day delay.
This prosecutor was doing his duty. Would you rather him come in sick and spread germs and illness around the courthouse? Or would you give him the 1 day, as his doctor has asked for?
But instead of granting the brief postponement, Finn demanded the state move forward with new counsel.
That's not an ideal practice of law.
Now retired Judge Wanda Keys Heard spent 21 years on the bench in Baltimore City Circuit Court, at one point serving as chief judge.
Having another attorney pick your jury in a murder case is unreasonable. And it's unfair to the citizens of Baltimore, because they should get the best from the very beginning of the first voir dire question to the end of that case.
Heard says a 1-day delay was not an unreasonable request in a case where the defendant was facing first and second-degree murder charges, 2 life sentences, and decades behind bars for more than a dozen other charges.
They need to remember that you're doing this for the citizens of Baltimore City. This is not about statistics all of the time. And if you're concerned about your statistic and the movement of your cases efficiently, what do you put in the balance? Justice or statistics.
Even Baltimore City State's Attorney Ivan Bates has called the decision mind-boggling.
If that was your loved one, would you want a judge to dismiss that case for a one-day continuance? The answer is no.
According to legal expert and former state prosecutor Collie Stimson, it's not the first time Judge Finn's judgment has been called into question.
When you have judges who under-sentence or don't follow the law, or take matters into their own hands and give slaps on the wrist instead of long prison sentences, the system breaks down.
Smith was recently convicted of attempted murder in another case earlier this year, so he will not be released anytime soon. Instead, the state will recharge and retry him in this case while he's still detained. Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
New developments tonight in the ongoing battle between hundreds of Baltimore residents and BGE over those external gas regulators. After a hearing with BGE last month, Councilman Eric Costello announced today he's introducing a bill which would ban the installation of all external regulators in the city. Hundreds of city residents have signed on to a lawsuit against the company to stop the project, citing safety and transparency concerns. BGE responded in a statement doubling down on its claim that external gas regulators are safe, and the company is talking with customers who are worried about the project.
Donald Trump's day in court. I'm Scott Thuman in Washington, and coming up, how his defense plans to argue everything from the timing of the trial to its location.
And we are your back-to-school headquarters here at Fox 45, and we're running about a month or even a little less until a lot of kids head on back to school county by county. I'm going to let you know when we could be threatening 90, though, in the forecast. Not very back-to-school-like. That's coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
Former President Trump, trying to fend off another criminal indictment, stay out of jail, appeared in court today in D.C., entering a plea of not guilty. So what's his strategy, and will it work? Sinclair's chief political correspondent Scott Thuman joins us live from Washington with more. Quite a day down there near you in D.C., Scott.
Yeah, understatement, right? Mary, really significant, historic day here in Washington, still unfolding to some degree. And the no plea, the innocent plea, the not guilty plea, that was not a surprise at all for us. We knew that that was going to happen. It's just as he's been professing in other indictments, like in Florida and New York. This much different in that the crimes that he is accused of this time are not for something that took place before or after office, but while he was president.
Insurrection against Donald Trump.
While outside, the antics and action inside, the legal strategies were taking shape. Prosecutors say they have mountains of damning evidence, witnesses, and documents. So how does Trump's team plan to counter? First, the timing of it all. Election season. Famed defense attorney and author of Get Trump, Alan Dershowitz.
It does constitute election interference, even if it's not intended to be election interference. The effect is to influence the election by denying Trump the ability to campaign.
A top Trump complaint posting, why didn't they bring this ridiculous case 2.5 years ago? They wanted it right in the middle of my campaign. That's why. Hence, the desire by Trump's team to delay as long as possible, as they requested so far unsuccessfully in the Florida classified documents case, to push it until after voters pick the next president.
The prosecution wants to move it more quickly than it should be moved, and the defense probably wants to move it more slowly than it should be moved. Actually, if this was not an election year, the trial would probably occur in October. Right before the election, but that's not going to happen.
Then there's free speech. Was Trump just expressing his belief in a rigged election?
Our defense is going to be focusing on the fact that what we have now is an administration that has criminalized the free speech and advocacy of a prior administration.
But can prosecutors prove Trump's intent?
I have come to believe that he knew well that he had lost the election. What I think is important is the government has assumed the burden of proving that. And they're going to have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt.
And then, of course, there's the venue itself. Washington, D.C., not exactly Trump territory, and could be a challenge when it comes to finding a jury pool that Trump supporters believe is fair to him. And that's why Alan Dershowitz telling me first thing he would do if he is the defense would be to request that this trial be moved to perhaps Virginia, maybe even West Virginia, where he says there will be fewer, quote, Trump haters. Mary?
And Trump has even talked about that as well, calling it the swamp. We know this today was Trump's third indictment. Earlier tonight, we were talking about another looming indictment. Tell us more about that.
Well, that's out of Georgia, and we thought that could come any day as well, perhaps even before this one, but that's not the case. Nonetheless, we're all watching Georgia now because it's a similar topic of accusations. He is accused of trying to overturn his loss in that state in 2020, putting undue, perhaps criminal amount of pressures upon state officials there to find the 11,000 votes he needed to win Georgia. We understand that could come at any time, and that would be his fourth indictment, Mary.
All right. Scott Thuman reporting live from Washington, D.C. for us tonight. Thank you for all your coverage today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Fox Triplecast this evening, Mile 1 Towsicam and the Toyota Asian Harbor Skycam slate gray as our latest weather maker moves through. You see it there on the HD radar, a couple of showers, especially now over southern Anne Arundel County, just south of Annapolis by Selby on the Bay. Was another shower here along the Cecil and Hartford County line. Now moving up 95 toward New London and Port Deposit up towards the PA line. Most of the rain with this system, this weather maker down to our south, and you can see Dale City to Richmond, Petersburg, Virginia, continuing to waft southbound, and then even some strong storms with it, but that's in kind of the hot and humid air that's kind of removed from central Maryland, and that's where the biggest rain is going to be with this all the way through tomorrow, but we're going to be on the edges, so we are tracking some showers. We could use some. Notice this kind of orangish color. That is a severe drought still in the western reaches of our viewing area, including portions of Hartford, or portions rather of Howard County, as well as Carroll County. At the Conowingo Dam Bridge right now, we've got 75, extra clouds. Did have some rain here. The roads are beginning to dry out a little bit, But again, it's just lighter showers that we're involved in, mainly through tonight, even into tomorrow, although some of these spotty storms over PA could get us tomorrow evening. The heat, humidity, again, pretty well removed, but it is high heat. Oklahoma City, Dallas has been days and days and days in the triple digits there. 97 New Orleans, around the edges of that big heat is where that kind of unsettled, cooler weather is, and that's where we remain overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning. Maybe a spot shower here or there, and again during the day tomorrow, some extra clouds. There could be a spot shower almost any time, but especially later on in the day towards sunset and beyond. Notice this round of showers and maybe a rumble for Friday evening plans. I'm going to let you know how much hotter it gets over the weekend. My exclusive 10-day forecast.
A rise in illegal border crossings, leaving some Texas lawmakers wanting to charge migrants a fee to enter and work in the U.S. We'll look at the framework for the potential plan. Well, the United States saw more illegal border crossings in July than it did in June, and it has some lawmakers in Texas devising a migrant processing plan that would force undocumented immigrants to pay a fee to work in the state. Matt Roy with our Sinclair sister station in San Antonio has tonight's Assignment America report.
It's $1 billion industry. We need to take it away from the drug cartels and the human smugglers.
State Rep Eddie Morales' district spans more than 750 miles of the Texas-Mexico border. He says even though immigration is a federal issue, it's time for Texas to step up in the light of congressional failure.
I think that there is precedence for us to be able to say, you know, the state of Texas, which is what I'm proposing as a state representative, is to implement a migrant processing fee plan.
The plan would work like this. Undocumented immigrants who are apprehended at the border would pay $2,000 and be allowed to work in Texas for 3 years. They would have an ID card so the state could keep track of them. There would be renewal fees by the state, and the state would implement a migrant income tax.
Even if we were to charge just $2,000 alone for these 1,600 crossings daily, that would generate $3.2 million daily.
We got people that shouldn't be here coming over, all mixed in with a lot of good people. And so we need to have a final solution to it. And I was just impressed with the plan that he put together, and I just think it's something that we can build upon.
Republican Representative John Lujan says the plan needs some tweaking, but added that there is an appetite from his state and federal colleagues on both sides of the aisle to get something like this done.
I think it's a viable solution, but what's even more exciting than this particular solution is that we're coming to the table together, and we're going to iron it out, and we are going to have a good solution.
Matt Roy, Fox News at 9.
Exclusive 10-day forecast includes some temperatures actually kind of cool for this time of year. Should be on average at about 88. For tomorrow, we're at 81. Some showers mainly late. Could even have a rumble of thunder towards the evening. It's a hotter day on Saturday. Good for the pool. Partial sun, 90. Same deal here on Sunday, maybe a little more humid. 89 on Monday. High humidity and very warm. 89 with those scattered showers and storms, mainly in the afternoon. Stays hot and humid Tuesday. Very warm on Wednesday, 89. Next Thursday, an isolated storm with 88. And near seasonable to wrap up next week into next weekend.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, finally tonight it is time to head down the Yellow Brick Road. The Wiz is returning to Baltimore. I think they say ease on down the road. The hit musical will bring its national tour to the Hippodrome Theater next month from September 23rd to the 30th. Fun fact, this is a return home for the show. The Wiz premiered right here in Baltimore back in 1974 at the Morris Mechanic Theater. And the national tour, it starts here too. That is so cool. Tickets are on sale right now. Well, that's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feud is next. We'll see you back here for the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. Good night.